جاد بھائی
السلام علیکم اللہ وبرکاتہ. سارے مومنین اور مومنات کو بہت بہت امام زمانہ کی ولادت مبارک ہو. اور مومن سینٹر سے لائیو ٹیلی کاسٹ انشاءاللہ اس جشن کا آغاز کرتے ہیں ہم قرآن کی تلاوت سے. میں ریکویسٹ کروں گا باقر آپ تلاوت شروع کرو گے؟
جی.
بسم اللہ الرحمن
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. اذا السماء انشقت وأذنت لربها وحقت وإذا الأرض مدت وألقت ما فيها وتخلت وأذنت لربها وحقت. يا أيها الإنسان إنك قادح إلى ربك قدحا فملاقيه فأما من أوتي كتابه بيمينه فسوف يحاسب حسابا يسيرا وينقلب إلى أهله مسرورا وأما من أوتي كتابه وراء ظهره فسوف يدعو سبورا ويصلى سعيرا إنه كان في أهله مسرورا إنه ظن أن لن يحورا بلى إن ربه كان به بصيرا. فلا أقسم بالشفق والليل وما وسق والقمر إذا اتسق لتركبن طبقا عن طبق فما لهم لا يؤمنون بل الذين كفروا يكذبون والله أعلم بما يوعون فبشرهم بعذاب عليم إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم أجر غير ممنون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى
محمد. جزاک اللہ برادر باقر. ماشاءاللہ سے آج اتنے بڑی عید ہے ہم سب کے لیے. ہمارے مولا امام زمانہ وعجل فرجہم اللہم صل علی محمد وعلی محمد وعجل فرجہم کی شان کی آج جشن منائیں گے. یہ ہمارے لیے کرم ہے کہ آج ہمارے لیے یہ سعادت ہے کہ ہم یہ بے شک اپنے گھروں میں ہیں لیکن پھر بھی اس جشن کو ہم اپنی عید کو اتنی خوشنودی سے منا رہے ہیں. اب میں ریکویسٹ کروں گا محمد باقر پیر بھائی سے کہ وہ منقبت کا ہدیہ اپنے مولا کی بارگاہ میں دیں. بسم اللہ.
آپ سب کو مبارک ہو آج رات کے لیے. بر محمد وعلی محمد صلوات.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وجل.
حال غم سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، زخم دل دکھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، محفلیں جمائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، بامدر سجائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، جشن ہم منائیں گے، جشن ہم منائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے. زخم ہے ابھی تازہ مکہ اور مدینہ کے، شام کوفہ کرب و بلا ہم بلا نہیں سکتے، از سقیف تائیدم غیر سے نہیں پہنچے، جتنے دکھ اٹھائے ہیں ہم نے کلمہ گویوں سے، ایک ایک چکائیں گے، ایک ایک چکائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ شک ہے جن کو اللہ کے عدل اور عدالت پر، منصب نبوت پر، سیدہ کی عصمت پر، مرتضیٰ کی احمد سے متصل نیابت پر، جن کو شک ہے بارہ پر، بارہویں کی غیبت پر، سب ہی مار کھائیں گے، سب ہی مار کھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ دعوے محبت جو صبح شام کرتے ہیں، ان کے دشمنوں سے بھی راہ و رسم رکھتے ہیں، خمس بھی نہیں دیتے، غیبتیں بھی کرتے ہیں، مومنوں سے بھی دل میں بغض کینہ رکھتے ہیں۔ کس طرح نبھائیں گے، کس طرح نبھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ نعمت شریعت کو بوجھ ہی سمجھتے ہیں، رہب العب کو ہم زندگی سمجھتے ہیں، صاحبان زر کو برا آدمی سمجھتے ہیں، تنگ دست مومن کو بس یوں ہی سمجھتے ہیں۔ کیا مقام پائیں گے، کیا مقام پائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ یہ ہماری مکروریہ شاطرانہ عیاری، کیا ہمارے صوم و صلات اور یہ عزاداری، کتنا ہے خلوص ان میں، کس قدر ریاکاری، کیا امام کی خاطر ہم نے کی ہے تیاری، کیسے منہ دکھائیں گے، کیسے منہ دکھائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے۔ الرجل جو کہتے ہیں آگے تو کیا ہوگا، کیا ہے اپنی تیاری، پیش ہم کریں گے کیا، سبت جعفر اپنا تو کل یہی ہے سرمایہ، حمد و نعت و صوم و صلاح اور منقبت نوحہ، ہم یہی سنائیں گے، ہم یہی سنائیں گے جب امام آئیں گے، جب امام آئیں گے۔ صلوات۔
اللہم صلی
اللہم صلی علی محمد
وعلی محمد وجل فرجہم۔ بہت خوب، ماشاءاللہ ماشاءاللہ۔ محمد، پروردگار آپ کو صحت دے، لمبی عمر دے، آپ کے والدین آپ کی خوشیاں دیکھیں، بہت ماشاءاللہ، مولا اس پرسہ کو قبول فرمائے۔ اب میں ریکویسٹ کروں گا ہمارے یوتھ اگلے منقبت خواہ حسن نعانی کو کہ وہ آئیں اور مولا کی شان میں منقبت پیش کریں۔ حسن۔
محمد وعلی محمد صلوات۔
اللہم صلی علی محمد وعلی محمد وجل فرج۔
ہے مشورہ محترم ناد علی پڑھتے رہو، ہے مشورہ محترم ناد علی پڑھتے رہو، پاس آ سکیں گے پھر نہ غم، ناد علی پڑھتے رہو ہے مشورہ محترم، ناد علی پڑھتے رہو جب معرکہ خیبر کا تھا، احمد سے خالق نے کہا پہنچیں گے حیدر ایک دم، ناد علی پڑھتے رہو ہے مشورہ محترم، اور ذکر علی عبادت تیری بن جائے ایک عادت تیری، یہ زندگی نہ ہو جائے کم، ناد علی پڑھتے رہو ہے مشورہ محترم، ناد علی پڑھتے رہو محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد
وجل فرج۔
سن لے وہ جن کے لیے ذکر علی بار ہے، سن لے وہ جن کے لیے ذکر علی بار ہے، آج بھی پردے میں آج بھی پردے میں ایک حیدر کرار ہے، سن لے وہ جن کے لیے ذکر علی بار ہے، ذکر علی بار ہے، آج بھی پردے میں ایک حیدر کرار ہے، آج بھی پردے میں ایک حیدر کرار ہے، اور اس کو ہے سب کی خبر، رکھتا ہے سب پر نظر، رکھتا ہے سب پر نظر، اس کو ہے سب کی خبر، اس کو ہے سب کی خبر، رکھتا ہے سب پر نظر، رکھتا ہے سب پر نظر، کہ کون ہے غدار اور کون ہے غدار اور کون وفادار ہے، اور قائل شیطان تو ہے، قائل غیبت نہیں، قائل غیبت نہیں، قائل شیطان تو ہے، قائل شیطان تو ہے، قائل غیبت نہیں، قائل غیبت نہیں، ہائے مسلمان بھی، ہائے مسلمان بھی کتنا سمجھدار ہے، ہائے مسلمان بھی کتنا سمجھدار ہے، سن لے وہ جن کے لیے ذکر علی بار ہے، اور منکر عشق عزا سوچ لے اتنا ذرا، سوچ لے اتنا ذرا، منکر عشق عزا، منکر عشق عزا سوچ لے اتنا ذرا، سوچ لے اتنا ذرا، کہ غیب میں بیٹھا ہے جو، غیب میں بیٹھا ہے جو، غیب میں بیٹھا ہے جو، وہ بھی عزادار ہے، سن لے وہ جن کے لیے ذکر علی بار ہے، محمد وآل محمد صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد وعلی محمد. بہت خوب حسن بیٹا، بہت زبردست شاعری اور بہت خوبصورت طریقے سے ڈلیور کیا آپ نے. پروردگار آپ کو، آپ کے گھر والوں کو صحت شفائے
انشاءاللہ
دیں، اور اس وبا سے سب بچوں کو، سب صحت مند جوانوں کو صحت مند رکھیں. الہی آمین. اب میں ریکویسٹ کروں گا جری رضوی سے، علی جری رضوی سے، کہ وہ آئیں اور مولا کے شان میں منقبت پیش کریں. جری
درود بھیج دیے گا.
اللہم صلی علی محمد وعلی محمد وجل فرجہم.
پہلے تو آپ سب کو بہت بہت مبارک ہو. 15 شعبان بہت ہی خاص دن ہے ہمارے یہاں کا. تو ایک ربائی، اس کے بعد چھوٹی سی منقبت. ابو تراب کا قائم مقام زندہ ہے، ابو تراب کا قائم مقام زندہ ہے، اس لیے تو خدا کا پیام زندہ ہے، ابو تراب کا قائم مقام زندہ ہے. یہ انتقام مشیات نہیں تو اور کیا ہے، یہ انتقام مشیات نہیں تو اور کیا ہے. خلیفہ مر گئے، میرا امام زندہ ہے، ابو تراب کا قائم مقام زندہ ہے. اب منقبت. آپ پر درود اور سلام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. آپ پر درود اور سلام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. بس یہی صدا ہے صبح شام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. آپ پر درود اور سلام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. آ رہے ہیں آپ، چل رہی ہے یہ خبر، خانہ خدا پہ ہے ٹکی ہوئی نظر. سج رہے ہیں راستے تمام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. آپ پر درود اور سلام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. ہر نفس تجھے میرا سلام عرض ہے، میں تو کیا ہوں ہر نبی ولی پہ فرض ہے. دو جہاں میں تیرا احترام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. آپ پر درود اور سلام، اے میرے امام، اے میرے امام. دو جہاں کی بادشاہ تیری ذات ہے تو ہے اس کا ہاتھ جو خدا کا ہاتھ ہے تیرے ہاتھ بیعتے تمام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام آپ پر درود اور سلام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام اس لیے تمہارا انتظار ہے شدید سر اٹھائے پھر رہے ہیں وقت کے یزید آ کے ان سے لیجے انتقام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام آپ پر درود اور سلام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام خانہ خدا کو قید سے چھڑائیے مولا جلد آئیے اب بھی جائیے لے کے ذوالفقار بے نیام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام آپ پر درود اور سلام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام چومتے ہیں پاؤں آ کے تارے آپ کے چل رہا ہے دیکھ کے اشارے آپ کے ساری کائنات کا نظام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام آپ پر درود اور سلام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام مانگتے ہیں اور یوں ظہور کی دعا دیکھنا ہے ہم کو انتقام کربلا چاہے پھر ہو زندگی تمام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام آپ پر درود اور سلام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام بس یہی صدا ہے صبح و شام اے میرے امام اے میرے امام صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد وجل فرجہم. ماشاءاللہ جری ویری ویل ریسائڈیڈ. بہت خوبصورتی سے آپ نے ادا کی. مولا کی شان میں منقبت. پروردگار آپ کے گھر والوں کو صحت لمبی عمر عطا فرمائے اور ہم سب کو ہمارے امام جب آئیں تو ان کے نوکروں میں انصاروں میں شمار فرمائے. الہی آمین. Now I would like to request Shaykh Amin Rastani that to come forth and please enlighten us with the topic of inspiration for occultation. We are very blessed to have Shaykh with us and enlightening us with the great knowledge that he has. Inshallah, we wish all our viewers again Eid Imam Mubarak. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Shaykh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, so inshallah everyone can hear me. This is my first time doing this. Let me take this out If I take this out, then I won't be able to hear you. So let me just very quickly. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. I am grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have this opportunity to speak to our community and whoever else that might be tuning in from outside on this sacred occasion, this occasion where the hope of the people lies in the one who was born on this occasion, the 12th Imam, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi wa ajjalallah farajahu sharif. And today, unfortunately, we're not able to be together to celebrate this occasion together in our center, but alhamdulillah, at least for this opportunity that we've had. Now, yesterday, this opportunity that we've had to speak online and be together online. Yesterday, Sayyid Asad Jafari, he spoke very nicely about how we can turn this into an opportunity itself and how we don't want to lose time and waste time in such an opportunity. I was actually thinking about how this, aside from the pandemic side and the suffering side of the people, how it's nice every now and then for all of humanity on the face of the earth to kind of reset and refresh themselves and to think over a little bit about what they're living, the circumstances that they're in, how they're living their lives, and so on. But anyway, mashallah, he delivered wonderful points in lecture yesterday on that. Today we're going to be speaking about, as you saw in the flyer, we're going to be speaking about inspiration from occultation. Now that is something that I'll explain later. But to get ourselves a little ready, get ourselves into that spirit of the 12th Imam and 15th of Shabaan, and maybe those of you who are at home right now are wearing nice clothing for this Eid, I don't know, to get yourselves into that spiritual mode or that more of a celebratory mode. As you can see, I'm a little dressed up. Usually I don't like to dress up too much, but yeah, today I'm a little dressed up. And so before I get to that, I want to get us into this mode as well, warm us up a little bit, and get us into the spirit of 15th of Shabaan by sharing some hadiths with you. Hadiths that we've heard here and there, of course. There's not anything new for a lot of us, but just to refresh us as well. These hadiths, they stress on certain aspects of the 12th Imam that for us are as clear as day, and we have no doubt in them. But at the same time, we have to understand that if these hadiths are there, it's because this culture was, the Imams tried to establish this culture in us, in their Shia. Now we're sitting here about 1200 years after the occultation of the 12th Imam, or 1150 years after his occultation began, his major occultation began. And for us, certain things are set in stone, but we have to understand that these beliefs are set in stone for us now because of what the Imams did and the culture they established and instilled within their Shia. So these hadiths for us might seem like, very basic hadith, but as I said, to warm us up, get us ready, I want to share some of them with you just to show that these are things the Imams paid a lot of attention to. Number one is about how the Imam is going to be the last Imam. Okay, we all know that he's going to be the last Imam. Yet the hadiths, they directly, indirectly are always speaking about this, either with the term al-qa'im, the one who is waiting and standing, or other terms. I want to share 3 hadiths in this regard with you. In a famous hadith of Hadith al-Lawh, the Imam, he says, this Hadith al-Lawh means a scroll or a tablet. The Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari says he entered upon Fatima al-Zahra and he saw something divine in front of her, something that had come from somewhere else, from above to her, with news in it and certain facts in it. And in there, the Imams were mentioned as well. And then it reaches this point where Allah says, أُكْمِلُ ذَلِكَ بِابْنِهِ مُحَمَّدْ رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ, that I will complete these 12 or these Imams with the son of the 11th and the son of Imam al-Askari alayhi salam, whose name is the Prophet's name, Rahmatan lil Alameen. He is a mercy to everyone. It's interesting because the Quran refers to our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Rahmatan lil Alameen, as a mercy upon all the worlds and all the people. Now this Imam, whose name is the same as the Holy Prophet's name, is also Rahmatan lil Alameen here in this hadith. Alayhi kamalu Musa wa baha'u Isa wa sabru Ayyub. He has these traits. He has the perfection of Musa. He has the greatness of Isa alayhi salam, the husn, let's call it. Baha here probably means husn, greatness and goodness and righteousness of Isa. And he has the patience of Ayyub. I mean, it takes a lot of patience for someone who has the power to do certain things and intervene into certain affairs of this world, to sit and watch and wait for permission from Allah to intervene. The Imam has not been given permission yet to intervene into this world with his dhuhur. It takes a lot of patience when you know the good that you can bring, but the time isn't right. So you have to be patient for that. Another hadith, in the hadith of Mi'raj, that other famous hadith, when the Holy Prophet ascends to the heavens, and Allah is speaking to him, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says, فَقُلْتُ يَا رَبِّ. Allah shows the Holy Prophet the Imams or the nur of the Imams. It says, Ya Rab, man ha'ula? Who are these? These light that you're showing me. قال هؤلاء الأئمة. These are the Imams. And then apparently singling out one of them, it says, وَهَذَا الْقَائِمِ. This is the Qa'im. This is the one who will be awaiting, the one who is standing and waiting for his time. مُحَلِّلُ حَلَالِ وَمُحَرِّمُ حَرَامِ. This is the one who will make my halal halal and my haram haram, which implies that times will reach a point where the haram of Allah becomes halal and the halal of Allah becomes haram. And I mean, right now with this quarantine that we're all in, when you look back, you look at all the things that happen in the world that aren't necessary, all the entertainment, all the money that is spent for this entertainment, all of the, to reach the point of debauchery even. All of that is not necessary, one. And two, people are sitting home now that all those things are out of business now. And number two is, not only are they not necessary, lots of them are haram. He's the one who will come and make my haram haram upon the people and my halal halal upon the people. It shows that the deen will be very distorted practically. Only a name of religion might be left. يَنْتَقِبُ مِنْ أَعْدَائِي. He will take revenge from my enemies. Ya Muhammad, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, أَحْبِبْهُ فَإِنِّي أُحِبُّهُ. O Prophet of Allah, I want you to love this Al-Qa'im alayhi salam. And I want you to love him. وَأُحِبُّ مَنْ يُحِبُّهُ. And I love the one who loves him, the 12th Imam alayhi salam. Another hadith in the khutbah of Ghadir. Now this is one of the versions of this khutbah. Of course, there's a lot of talk about this khutbah in the Shi'i sources versus Sunni sources. But in some of our sources, it says that the Holy Prophet said, in Ghadir, ma'ashir an-nas, O people, inni nabiyyun wa aliyun wasiyyun. I am your wali and prophet, and Ali is your wasi, the one to succeed and come after me. Ala inna khatam al-a'imma minna al-qa'im al-mahdi alayhi salam. That the seal of the Imams, the last of the Imams. So you can see here, the Prophet keeps, or in these hadiths, this idea of him being the qa'im, the one who's waiting, the last one is being repeated. Ala inna khatam al-a'imma minna al-qa'im. The seal of the Imams of us is the Mahdi alayhi salam. Ala innahu al-zahir ala ad-din. He's the one who will have the upper hand over all of religion. Because we have in the Quran that Allah لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ, that Allah wants to bring Islam and the Holy Prophet above everyone else, all other deen, all other anything. And so here this is referring to that line in the Quran. إِنَّهُ الظَّاهِرَ عَلَى الدِّينِ. He's going to be the boss. He's going to be the big shot. He's going to be the one with the upper hand over everything and control over everything. إِنَّهُ الْمُنْتَقِمُ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. He is the one who will take revenge from the ظالمين and those who are oppressors. Okay, so these are some hadiths that illustrate this idea of him being the final of the Imam, the last of the Imams, the seal of the Imams and Imamah. Other hadiths tell us that he will have a long ghaibah and occultation that I'll just share one with you. It says, Al-Hadi Ashar min Wuldi. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, the 11th of my children, Huwa al-Mahdi. He is the Mahdi. الذي يملأ الأرض عدلا وقسطا. He will fill the earth with justice. كما ملئت جورا وظلما, as it has been filled with transgression and oppression. تكون له غيبة وحيرة. He is going to be gone for a while. And as a result, there will be a hayra and bewilderment and perplexity for the people. The people will seem to be lost, will seem to be dizzy. Hayra and tahayyur means for someone to be totally confused and bewildered. Yes? And so this idea of a ghaiba and a long ghaiba is also mentioned in our hadith as well. And they made sure to tell us this because of the tests that will come as a result of the length and duration of this ghaiba. Now, having said all of that and having kind of, gotten us ready, there is one question I want to address regarding his ghaiba today. And after that, I want to get into our main discussion, and I want to give you a list of things that we can take inspiration from when it comes to the ghaiba and occultation of our 12th Imam. The question is, when we say that there is a ghaiba for the Imam, what does that mean exactly? What does ghaiba mean here? There are two things that can be meant by ghaiba. Number one is sometimes you put someone somewhere and lock them up and no one has access to them. Yes? People might know who that person is and everything, but there's no access to them. They're locked up somewhere. For example, you put them on some island or something. Yeah? Is it that the Imam, when we say he's in ghaiba, is that what is meant by ghaiba? That he is somewhere remote, inaccessible, and he's living his life on some island. Some people say it's the Bermuda Triangle. Some people say he's on that Al-Madinatul Khadra or whatever they call it. All right? And I don't know why some people, they are very obsessed with trying to pinpoint where he is. Yeah? That is not something you find in our hadiths that's being encouraged for us to pinpoint where he is. There are other things in the Quran and hadith that have been highlighted that are priority, not these things. But anyway, is it that he's in some island that we don't have access to? Yeah. Is that the case? Like how, for example, Prophet Yusuf was far away from his people, but he was there. He was just inaccessible to them. Is that the meaning of ghaiba, or does it mean that he's amongst us, but we just don't recognize him? This is the question. And I think all of you know the answer to this. Is he amongst us? We just don't know who he is. We might even bump into him, kind of like when they say these kings, they want to see what's going on in their kingdom. They might go undercover, wear normal clothing, come amongst their people to see what's going on, Is it that kind of thing? Which one is it? Well, the hadiths tell us that it's the second one. That no, don't think that he's off somewhere in an island, somewhere, I don't know, that no one has access to, and he's kind of, na'uzubillah, locked up there or something, God forbid. No, that's not it. As a matter of fact, he's actively involved in a lot of things. It's just that we don't recognize him. Later when he comes, even God knows, I don't know. Inshallah, one day that day will come, that when he does return, if we're alive, if we see him, and if we have the honor of seeing him and laying our unworthy eyes upon him, that we might say, wait, this is a person that we had seen before. Yeah. That's what it's all about. So I want to share with you two hadiths about this, that this is what is meant by his ghaiba. When he's ghaib, it's not that he's off remotely somewhere that we don't have access to him. No. It says here, يَفْقَدُ النَّاسِ إِمَامَهُم. The people will lose their imam. They won't have access to him. True. But يَشْهَدُ الْمَوْسِمْ فَيَرَاهُمْ وَلَا يَرَوْنَهُ. He will be there in the season of Hajj. They will see him. It's not that he's off somewhere far off. No, they will see him, but he sees them, they don't see him. That's one hadith. If not seeing him, we're not sure what it means, this next hadith explains what that means. So this first hadith told us he sees us, we don't see him. Is it that he's invisible? What is meant exactly? There's another hadith here that I share with you that will clear that up. It says that Wallah inna sahiba hadha al-amr, the one who this affair belongs to, the owner of all of us. La yahduru al-mawsim. He comes in the season of Hajj every year. He sees the people, recognizes them. They see him, but they don't recognize him. Okay, so if any other hadiths tell us that we can't see him, what is meant is that we might see him. We might even bump into him, but we don't recognize him. So this ghaiba of the holy Imam is something, yes, other than other forms of ghaiba. Other forms of ghaiba of normal people means that they're not accessible. We know who they are. We just can't reach them. We can't contact them. Here, we can't contact him, yes, because we can't recognize him. If we could recognize him, if we see him in Hajj, if we see him anywhere else, we'll ask him our questions, we'll tell him how much we love him, and so on. And of course, this is part of the test for a person to reach a point to understand that you don't need to actually physically see him to let him know how much you love him. Yes, and let him know how much you care for him. So this question of what is the ghaiba exactly like, this is the essence of this ghaiba. It's not what sometimes some people might think that, oh, he's somewhere far off in a far distant land. And there's a reason for this as well. Once we get into these different inspirations we take from this occultation of the Imam, we'll see that it only makes sense if an Imam with such a ghaiba is there, not the other form of ghaiba where, oh, he's somewhere in some other planet or some island somewhere, and he never knows what we're going through or never sees us. Okay, having said that now, let's talk a little bit about today's topic and title, Inspiration from Occultation. What do I mean by that? Well, the question is always coming up, what good is there in an Imam that you can't have access to, that you can't speak to, that you can't ask questions from? This is a question that always is coming up in the Shi'i school of thought for people who want to just learn more and understand things better. And at the same time, for some who aren't even from the Shi'i school and might want to call out the Shi'at, might want to prove that this imamah that the Shia believe in is compromised through the ghaiba of the 12th Imam. If imamah means leadership, if imamah means asking questions from the Imam, and so on and so forth, well, he's not leading you guys right now. You're not able to ask him your questions right now. So shows that this ghaiba undermines all of that. Now, today we're not going to talk about answering these claims. There are lots of lectures out there already that talk about this. But what I want to talk to you about is this occultation has one or two very, very main reasons, I would say, that I'm not going to get into today. Those require classes and courses. They're not something to lecture about necessarily. And there's a lot of prerequisites to understanding what our scholars say in that regard. But what I do want to talk about today is some things that are mentioned either by our scholars and them reflecting, or even in our hadiths we will have, as reasons for why the Imam is in ghaiba. These reasons, brothers and sisters, are more, instead of being the philosophical underlying principle for ghaiba, they are, I like to call them inspiration for us. You can't maybe use them as an answer of what is good. What good is there in an Imam that is ghaib and is in occultation? You might not be able to use it for that. But what you can use as a lover of the Imam, who believes the Imam is born now and believes that his ghaiba is not like normal ghaibas. No, his ghaiba is one only of us not being able to recognize him, or else he is amongst us. A person who believes in these three things, they can take inspiration from this occultation of his. No matter how bitter it is for us, we can take some positive, have some positive takeaways from it as well. Just like the pandemic we're in right now. Who likes to quarantine? Not really, not too many people out there like it. Although these days I'm getting messages from people saying that, it's not as bad as we thought. It might be hard to go back to normal life, even with homeschooling the kids, still it's okay. We can put up with it, you know. But assuming that, you know, this pandemic, which has put us in our houses and doesn't allow us to go out, doesn't allow us to socialize, doesn't allow us to go to center and have our chai and maybe listen to Maulana speak, you know, all these things. Yes, if it's bitter for us, there are a lot of positive takeaways, yeah, people are having from this experience. Last night, Sayyid Asad, when he was speaking about certain things, those were positive takeaways. Yeah. So anything negative that happens in life, a mu'min can have positive takeaways, positive lessons that they have from that experience. And we have hadith for this. Even the hardest things that befall you, the way you react to them is what determines whether that was a blessing for you or was something bad and niqmat for you. Anyway, having said that, there are some positive things that we can take away from all of this ghaibah and the bitterness of being away from the 12th Imam. Back in the day when I was in Qom, you know, you would watch TV when the 15th of Shabaan would arrive. When I say bitter, I really mean bitter. The ghaibah is bitter. Why? So 15th Shabaan would come, they would show Masjid Jamkaran, which you couldn't get close to it from like within a 5-mile radius because that's how packed it was. The buses and cars and everything, they can only come so close, and then the rest you have to walk. And so we would watch on TV, you know, these masses coming. And so what we would do was just tag along virtually on TV. Now it's interesting because our house was like 7 minutes away from Jamkaran, 5 minutes away from Jamkaran, but still you can't get close to it on those nights. It's almost impossible. And it's hard to keep your concentration as well. So we would watch on TV and do a'mal on TV maybe. Anyway, point I want to make right now is this. There would be people that would be sitting in the street and that road that leads to Jamkaran, just sitting there and just weeping, young, maybe in his 20s. And when the guy would come with his microphone and he's interviewing different people and trying to get, you know, them to share their experience on this blessed night with the cameras and the people watching, yeah, you would see that these people, they are hurting, they're in pain because they can't see their Imam. And the guy would say, for example, I still remember this, he would say, I am going to sit here till the day he comes. I'm not going to give up. Yeah, that's how hard it is for some people being away from their Imam. When they know he's there, he's amongst them, but they're not, as a whole, not deserving enough to be able to see him. Anyway, it is bitter, but there are some good things that can be taken from all of this. These have been mentioned in our hadith. They've also been mentioned by our scholars and the reflections they've had on this whole idea of ghaibah. We have to understand ghaibah is a lofty, divine concept. It's not something that just is just the result of certain circumstances. It's more than that. As I said, there are deeper things to say here, but those are for another environment and setting. Right now, what we're talking about is the basics, some of the good stuff we can take. I have a list here of 5 or 6 things maybe that I want to share with you today in regards to how the ghaibah can inspire us, affect us in a positive way. Now that we're in this situation, now that we're in this quarantine from Sahib al-Zaman, let's call it. We can all relate to this word quarantine these days, right? Now that we are in this quarantine from Sahib al-Zaman alayhi salam, what are the good things we can take away from it? Number 1 is at-ta'abbud. Ta'abbud comes from ubudiyya. Ubudiyya means to be a servant of Allah, to be an Abdullah. What am I trying to get to here? Well, Shaitan had a bitter test. His bitter test was what? His bitter test was to do sajda to Adam. And he failed that test. It was hard for him. He didn't understand why he should be prostrating. I want you all to see a pattern here. We don't understand exactly why the ghaibah. Yes, we have somewhat of an understanding, but the exact reasons for it, Allah knows and His Imam. Shaitan didn't know exactly why. What is it, Allah? You're telling me to do sajda. He's trying to figure out what's going on here, trying to use some logic. He's not getting it. And so it's a test for him. It's a bitter test for him. He failed it. He didn't exhibit ubudiyya and ta'abbud. Ta'abbud means you just accept without question. He couldn't do that. It was I guess it was out of his scope of power and willpower to do so. It wasn't out of his willpower. He just couldn't because his ego was too big. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, in the story of Prophet Khidr and Musa, what happened there? Even there, Allah is teaching Prophet Musa something. He's teaching him that, look, if you're going to be my prophet, this is how things work with me. You don't question anything. And so those three things took place. Prophet Khidr, they took the life of that youth. They repaired that ship, and they straightened up that wall and did something so that it doesn't fall and collapse in a city where people didn't care for Prophet Khidr and Prophet Musa who were visiting them. Anyway, these were hard for Prophet Musa to fathom, and so he eventually, he just can't take it. The first time he asks, second time he asks, the third time when he asks, what's going on, why? Prophet Khidr says, "Hada firaqu bayni wa baynik." This is our parting point now. You couldn't. I told you, "Lan tastati'a ma'iya sabra." You're not gonna have what it takes when it comes to being patient in the face of those things that are bitter for you, that you don't understand the reason for. Yeah, I told you. But there was a point in this meeting, an appointment that we had, is that you got this lesson, that sometimes what God wants from you is going to be hard and bitter. Because hey, who are we kidding? Prophet Musa had it hard, both with Fir'aun and after Fir'aun with Bani Israel. It was not easy to deal with these people and those people, the people of Fir'aun. It's not easy for you to go and knock on the door. Think about it. Today someone tells you, go knock on the door of that president and tell them what they're doing is wrong, right? Tell them that they're not supposed to give their opinion on, for example, medical matters, yet they will still give their opinion on medical matters. You go tell him he's wrong, right? Now, today, they say there's freedom of speech. Back then, there was no freedom of speech during Prophet Musa's time. Go tell Fir'aun that there is another God. You're not God. All right, well, this is bitter. This is going to be hard. Oh, Allah, I might get in trouble. No. We taught you before through Prophet Khidr that you have to bite the bullet. And it's not going to be easy sometimes. You might not even get the reason for things sometimes, but you have to do what you're told. End of story. All right, so this ta'abbud is something that comes out of tests that are bitter, that we don't understand the entire reason for it. Coming now to the occultation of the 12th Imam, how does it inspire us? The occultation inspires us in this way. It tells us that, look, this is the ghaibah. Do you believe in Allah? Yes, I do. To the Prophet? Yes, I do. The Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? Yes, I do. You believe in all of that? Yes. You know that there's 12 Imams? Yes. You know that the 12th Imam is going to go into occultation? Yes, we know all of that. Okay, if you all know all of that, you believe in all of that, then the rest you leave it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you can try to understand, yes, and uncover as much of the philosophy and reasoning behind the occultation. Try your best to do that. But yes, there will still be some dark spots. There will be certain territory that you just couldn't conquer when it comes to understanding of the ghaibah of the 12th Imam. What are you going to do now? Well, the Quran teaches us what to do. He taught us in the story of Prophet Khidr and Prophet Musa. He taught us in the story of Surah Baqarah, when Prophet Musa told Bani Israel to slaughter a cow, and they started questioning, while all Allah wanted for them was to pass this little test. The ghaibah will also be a test for us that is bitter. Who doesn't like to be in the presence of his Imam or her Imam? It's going to be bitter, it's going to take patience, and we might not understand it completely why. In all of that, what comes out is a ta'abbud for the people. A submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, look, you know what you're doing. If he's not to be accessible right now, no problem. I will go to the rest of the people that I have to go to and follow them, because the Imams told me to follow them. That the ones who are familiar with the hadiths of the Imams and teach us the path of God through their hadiths. Okay, so that submission is the first inspiration we get from occultation. Number two, I like to call it in Arabic, it's a tasarruf al-batini. It is a touching of the heart. It is somewhat of the Imam, I hate to use this word, but magically having an effect on our hearts. When we remember him, we know he's remembering us and giving us attention. Ayatollah Bahjat is famous. He says this. There's a video of him. He says that when we want to say something, Sahib al-Zaman knows it before we're going to say it. Well, of course, because he's linked to the knowledge and immaculate knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all of that independently belongs to Allah. Knowledge of these things, Allah gives to whomever He wishes. Now, this is Ayatollah Bahjat saying it. He says, look, He knows before we even say it. So when we're paying attention to Him, if He knows what's in my heart that I'm about to say, He's going to also know what's in my heart of my love to Him, of how much I miss Him. And as a result, He pays attention to me. This is Him affecting my heart in a very, very positive way. Yes, it's heartwarming to know that He's remembering us and He has our back. And I want to use this example. I think it's a very good example, right? How He affects us, it's just heartwarming and uplifting for us that we know He's out there, although we don't even have access to Him. I want to give an example. Sometimes you are traveling, like let's say you go to, I don't know, Pakistan from America. You go all the way to the other side of the world and you're there for a long time, let's say 2 months, and you're away from family and friends. You're away from your mother that you love so much. You're far away from her. That is very hard. Now take this example. Sometimes, yes, you move 2 blocks down the street and you are so from your mom, and you're so busy with work for 2 months you don't see your mom. Now, when you're in Pakistan and you're not seeing your mom, it's no different than when you're 2 blocks down and you're not seeing your mother, right? And you can in both scenarios, you can WhatsApp message your mom, you can FaceTime them, you can see their video and so on and talk, no problem, right? Yet, I want us to think about this, and I think everyone will agree with me. There is a difference between these two. The fact that I know she's right around the corner, even though I haven't seen her for 2 months, versus me being on the other side of the world, and not having access to her. These are two, the result of the two is the exact same. I'm not physically in her proximity, close to her, physically seeing her and being able to access her. They are, and the result of this is the same. We're far away from, we're away from each other. We're not next to each other, but psychologically, within my heart, I feel that there's a difference. There's a big difference. Right now, people who have this virus, unfortunately, and inshallah, they get better soon, and they fight through it. They are sometimes, staying in the basements of their houses now. One of my friends in Detroit told me that he is in the basement of his house now because he's a doctor. He goes out, he's taking care of patients. May Allah protect him. And he wants to make sure that no one else gets it in the house. His parents are living, that he's living with his parents and stuff. So he says, Shaykh, I'm in the basement and I've isolated myself. Although he's not COVID positive or anything, but he wants to keep things on the safe side. So he's downstairs. He doesn't have access. His family can't sit next to him, but he's downstairs at the end of the day. This gives relief to the heart. Yes, it psychologically has an effect on us. And that's why I find this part of one of the hadiths by the 12th Imam that has been narrated by the 12th Imam, that I find it so inspirational. That he says, Inna ghayru muhmilina limura'atikum. Look, we're not negligent. We don't neglect things when it comes to taking care of you. We're there. Just know that we're there. When we know He's there, our hearts are at ease. God knows, people who even are passing away in those final moments, yes, they might even have an experience with the 12th Imam. And this is different than a person who believes that, he's not even born yet. And we'll talk about that one later. When he's not even born yet, will we have these feelings, brothers and sisters? We won't have these special, quote unquote, I hate using this word, but magical feelings and experiences that come to us. We won't have it if there isn't an Imam that's alive, although he's an occultation. So this is the point I'm trying to get across. There is a difference here. Number 2. Number 3. We do know that, and I think this is based on hadiths as well, but you hear scholars speak about this, that he is taking care of the religion. Yes, if I, for example, in Moment Center, I make a mistake in sharing a fatwa from Ayatollah Sistani to the people. That's not going to destroy Islam forever or something. The Imam's not going to intervene there, but sometimes the deen is in big danger. And I've heard great scholars say this. When people were asking, oh, like, does he take care of, this Islamic country and that Islamic country? Does he intervene? That great scholar was like, which we all knew, by the way, that he has had experiences, special experiences with certain individuals, and maybe the Imam himself. But anyway, he wouldn't say any of that, but everyone knew that that's what he's all about. But when he was asked, does the Imam, take care of this and take care of that? He was like, no. He doesn't get involved in a lot of things. But this is the point I want to make here. But when Islam itself is in danger, he will intervene. And Allah through him will preserve the deen. Yes? And so there's a lot to say here that I'm going to skip. But yes, another thing is, if there is an Imam that isn't even born yet, yeah, it's different than an Imam that we don't identify, but he's actively involved in a lot of things. That's number 3. So what were they again? Number 1, ta'abbud, developing ubudiyya and servitude and submission to Allah and not questioning God as a result of ghaibah. Number 1, it strengthens it. The ghaibah strengthens that. Number 2, tasarruf al-batini. Yes, the effect he has on our hearts, whether we like it or not, that magical touch that he has on us. Number 3, protecting the religion in ways that we don't know. Number 4, the hope. The hope, when I know that he's watching, you know that he's waiting with you. You know it makes him upset when he sees what's going on. He wants to bring about change as well. He's waiting for the right time. He's counting the days like you. These, when you think about it, it brings a lot of hope. I like to compare it to the flag bearer of an army. I want to use this example. In some ways, it's a good example. In some ways, it might not be a perfect example, but I want you to see why I'm using this comparison here, or making this comparison. The standard bearer, the flag bearer of an army, doesn't really do much. Now, with Hazrat Abbas, it's a different story. The army of Imam Hussain was a little different. The whole makeup of that army was different. It wasn't a conventional army, but usually in battles, Battle of Badr, Battle of Uhud, for example, these types of battles where you have 2 actual armies that now are fighting, the standard bearer might not be swinging his sword, not necessarily. He might be carrying the standard. What does the standard do? When you look back as you're fighting, as the going gets tough and the heat, you're in the line of fire, the heat of those moments are eating away at you and really taking you down, you look back and you see that the flag is still waving in the sky. That means this army is still alive. This army has not given up. Let's just say that the Imam, 12th Imam, alayhi salam, he is not doing anything for us right now. Just assume, for argument's sake, for a second there, that he's not doing anything. Well, just the fact that the people know he's there, just like the standard bearer, he's the standard bearer of Islam. Just because we know he's there brings hope to us. Versus if he's not there at all. When you know that there's no commander of your army with you, even if he might be in his tent, even if he might be issuing orders from the base that he's in, when you know that there's no commander, you're like, there's no point. It just takes away meaning from everything for you. Yes? So this is not, once again, we're not going through the reasons for occultation. We are going through some of the things that we take away as inspiration from occultation. The hope that we get. Now someone might say, excuse me, but a real muwahhid, a real Muslim, what they should do is to have hope in God and put their trust in God and rely on Him. Why do you need somebody else to put your hope into and your trust in? Why? Answer, well, I'll just give you the same answer the Holy Prophet would give if you asked him that question regarding why he would put standard bearers and flag bearers in his armies in the advent of Islam, when he was fighting against the enemies of Islam and preserving Islam through the blood of the martyrs back then. O Holy Prophet, should you not rely on God? Why do you need a standard bearer in your army? God is your standard bearer. Bro, these are things that make a difference psychologically. You have to do whatever it takes in this life to motivate your people if you want to lead them, if you want them to go out of their way for a certain cause. If the people know that there's an Imam, it's different than when they know, oh, that there is going to be an Imam, but apparently he's not even born yet, or we don't believe in him at all, or whatever it is. I'm not saying this to criticize other schools of thought. No. Don't get me wrong, because in these days, sometimes you'll hear people, that's what they're all after, trying to call out other schools of Islam because they don't believe in the Mahdi the way we do. No, I'm saying this to our Shia brethren right now. What I'm saying is, this question, this is one of the inspirations that we have, that we take away from the occultation, is that we have a lot of hope because we know he's there. It's much better than if he's not there. Number 4. Number 5, which is maybe one of the most important ones actually, is the matter of him strengthening our resolve to have taqwa and to be better people. Yes, when you're driving outside, when you know there's a camera watching you, you go by the rules and by the law, versus when you know there's nothing watching you and there's no cop watching you, right? You'll pass that red light, come on. 2 a.m., nobody out there, middle of the road. Kind of scary actually to stop at a red light. You don't know what's going to jump into your car. Might as well just pass that red light. You know what I'm saying? I'm not encouraging it, just saying that's what we probably would do. If we're 100% sure no one's going to see it, when the Imam, we know he's out there and he is being told what his Shia do, it makes a difference. Now, someone might once again pull the Tawheed card on us and they'll say, hey, but we know God is watching. Why do we need more cameras? God is watching. That's a camera, right? That should be enough. The answer is, first of all, 2 cameras versus 1 camera is better. Yeah, if I know that there's 2 cameras looking at me from different angles, right, I'll be more careful. That's number 1. But number 2, the point I want to make here is this. That when we say 2 cameras, these 2 cameras are not the same camera. I want us to pay attention here. These 2 cameras are not the same cameras. 1 camera, which is the camera of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and him watching, that is a camera of wrath for the majority of the people out there. It is a camera of punishment, that if you do this, you will get caught, you're going to be in trouble. And you're going to pay the price. Yes, you'll be held responsible. That's the camera of God. And that's why in the Quran, because Allah knows people are so lazy, He uses this a lot. He scares the people of the day of judgment. And that, look, I can have wrath. And if I am wrathful, I'm going to be the worst. Yes, I will be the most harsh. أشد المعاقبين في موضع النكال والنقمة. In Surah Dua Iftitah, we have this, that, oh Allah, you, when it comes to a person deserving punishment and revenge, you are the harshest. All right, so that's the camera of Allah for most people. But brothers and sisters, I think you can guess, the camera of Sahib al-Zaman for the people is a camera of love. When I know Sahib al-Zaman is watching, it's a little different. When I know that he's there, I believe in him. I'm one of his Shia. My last Imam that is still alive and breathing and walking on the same earth that I'm on. When I know that and I love so much, when I know he's watching, lots of times, this is the game changer for people. When you use the language of punishment, sometimes it doesn't work. When you use the language of love, it works a lot of times. There are a lot of people out there who are not religious, who might not come to center very often. And I'm not trying to say that coming to center equals religiosity. No. No one is to judge anybody. But the point I want to make here is this: these people who might not be very observant, might not be very practicing of the religion, they will show up on Ashura and the 10 days of Muharram. Why? Love. Love. They might not be very practicing, but love brings them towards Islam, towards the Imams. I want us to understand, see, there's a big difference here. Oh, person who doesn't practice Islam, you are in trouble. Day of Judgment's coming, punishment, all that kind of stuff. Answer is, yeah, I know. Maybe God will forgive me. I don't know, whatever. I'm already in trouble anyway. I'm letting go. But when Imam Hussain, with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, all of a sudden the tables turn and the equation is flipped upside down. Here also, love of Imam Sahib al-Zaman, if that youth, if that older person, if whoever it is, in that moment when they are doing something wrong and they know that it's wrong, if in that moment, if they remember Sahib al-Zaman, that, okay, my Imam is actually becoming aware of this, either now or later, they will stop and pull back. I want to share a hadith with you here, that there's a person by the name of Abdullah bin Aban az-Zayyat. It says his name, he had a title, he had a nickname, Abdul Rida. Yeah, Abdul Rida, slave of Ar-Rida alayhi salam. It probably shows how much he loved Imam Ar-Rida, that his nickname is Abdul Rida. He says, I told Imam Ar-Rida, Ud'u Allah li wa li ahli bayti. I want you to pray and do dua for me and my family. قال أولست أفعل. He said, the Imam answers, he says, don't you think I already do? Wallah, and this is something interesting. It has trickled down to our great scholars as well. There's a famous line by Ayatollah Bahjat. When they would tell him, please pray for us, he would say, now this is like 20 years ago. He says, I pray in all of my prayers for even the Muslims in China, for the people in China. The Muslimin of in China. Just recently people found out in the last, I don't know how many years, that there might be a big bunch of Muslims in China. He says, I pray for all the Muslims of the world, even those in China. Yeah. If this is how our scholars are and how caring they are for the Muslim Ummah, then look at how the Imams are going to be. So the Imam says, don't you think I already pray for you all the time? Inna a'malakum la tu'radu alayya fi kulli yawmin wa laylah. Don't you know that every day and every night your a'mal, the things that you do, are shown to me? Imam al-Rida says this, as my Shia. Don't you think? And as a result of that, I pray for you. Now, either the person is doing bad things, he prays that they don't, or is doing good things, and the Imam prays for more tawfiq for that, right? In any case, look at the personal, intimate relationship between us and the Imam. And so when we know that he's watching, and I love him so much, right? If they tell us, brothers and sisters, if for 40 days you don't sin, you can see the 12th Imam, I think all of us will take that offer, and we will make sure that we don't sin. Well, let's change it a little bit and say, if for 40 days I don't sin, the Imam is going to be very happy with me, and he's already seeing me, no need to see him. Yeah, then we'll know that, okay, even our love for the Imam was for ourselves. That was the wrong thing. That was the wrong part. If I really love the Imam, who cares if I see him or not? He's seeing me, and I want him to be happy. And so I will fix up everything about myself. When I remember he's watching, I might reconsider something wrong that I might be doing and getting myself into. Inna a'malakum la tu'radu alayya fi kulli yawmin wa laylatin. So this guy says, فَاسْتَعْذَمْتُ ذَلِكَ. I was like, whoa, subhanallah, wawa, you know? And so the Imam tells him, the Imam notices that this guy, he's surprised at this. You know what the Imam tells him? The Imam tells him, this is in the Quran. أَمَا تَقْرَأُ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ قُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَ اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. That the Quran says, go and do what you want to do, because Allah will see what you're doing, and the Rasul, the messenger, will see what you're doing and know what you're doing, and the mu'minun will know what you're doing. We're the mu'minun in this verse. Yeah. So this is also, now that we're in this occultation, We are experiencing this bitter occultation and this quote unquote quarantine when it comes to access to Sahib al-Zaman. Yes, there's some inspiration that we can take away from it. At least we can be inspired like this, in this way. And one of those tests right now is, as we're at home, we're hit with a very hard test of being with the family 24 hours a day, keeping our cool, mothers with their kids, kids with their parents, husband, wife, siblings, all of that. All of us have to be careful. If we get angry, we need to, go to another room, calm down, maybe wash our face, get busy with something else. These are our tests right now, right? The tests keep changing. Whoever thought that we would have such a test, in this day and age? God keeps changing up the tests. All right. And finally, the last thing that I want to share here on this list is that the Imam, we have to understand, he is amanun li ahli al-ard. The hadith tells us that the Imam says, and we have other hadiths that all the Imams are like this, not just the 12th Imam, but now that we are living in the time of the 12th Imam, he is for us the aman and safety in this time, in all times that he is the Imam of the time. He is a safety. What does that mean? We have a verse in the Quran that says to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ. O Prophet, Allah is not going to punish the people while you're amongst them. We have a concept in Islam, it's al-adhab al-istisali, it's called. It means to uproot, an adhab that uproots. In the past, Qawm Thamud, for example, Qawm Lut, there were different peoples whom Allah punished in a way that their whole nasl and race was eradicated and uprooted. There's no trace of them anymore. And their descendants. They didn't have a progeny and descendants after that. They were wiped out completely. This is famous that in Islam, Allah, because out of honor and respect of the Holy Prophet, Allah will never punish the Muslim Ummah in such a way. No matter how many mistakes they make, He will send little punishments, not little relative to the ones that wipe everyone out. They're little, or else they might be hard as well. But He will never wipe out the Muslim Ummah the way He has wiped out previous nations as a result of their indecencies. Now, during the Holy Prophet's time, it is through the barakah of the Holy Prophet. Well, who do you think it is happening through after the Holy Prophet? And through his blessing, Allah keeps and repels his istisali al-adhab from the people. Who do you think it is? Well, the Imam in this hadith is saying, وَإِنِّي لَأَمَانٌ لِأَهْلِ الْأَرْضِ. I am a means of safety for the people. Allah won't send a punishment that will wipe everybody out because I'm amongst them. I'm amongst them. Now, someone might ask, well, look at this pandemic now. People are dying and all that. Well, first of all, the pandemics in the past, have wiped out millions of people. And now we're in the thousands, first of all. So that's one thing. Don't think that this is the worst of times, first of all. Second of all, though, what I want to say is, if you paid attention, I said this 2 minutes ago. Adhab istisali is not sent. One that wipes out an entire nation. But yes, sometimes certain problems will arise. And although the Imam is the safety of the people, he is the safety from getting wiped out completely. But that does not rule out these wake-up calls that Allah will send our direction as Muslims, as Shia, or as humanity every now and then that He'll send our way. So this doesn't rule that out. It just shows that, okay, if it wasn't for the Imam, you never know. Allah might even send an adhab that wipes out, nations. But as a result of His existence, Allah doesn't do so. To end this whole story, I want to share one or maybe two stories with you. Salat is at 8:12. It's 8:07 right now. So inshallah, I can wrap it up in a few minutes. And I don't have anyone's voice right now. So if Brother Bakr or Brother Wajad are saying anything, I'm not hearing you. Maybe I should put my earphone on, just in case you guys are telling me, hey, Shaykh, stop, it's over. Give me 1 second to put this in. All right, so I can hear you guys as well if you say anything. All right, so one story I want to share. how the Imam and the presence of an Imam can change things for the better for us, can affect us in a good way. Now this is an Imam that's not alive, let alone an Imam that is alive amongst us. I want to give the example of Imam Musa al-Kadhim, who's not alive now amongst us. He is buried in Baghdad, in Kadhimain. One of these ulama was speaking once, and I'll just share this story and I'll end. He says, I went to Kadhimiyya and I wanted to buy some fabric, to take back to Iran with me. He says, I went into one of these shops, fabric shops, and the guy comes with 2 measuring sticks. One is about, what is it? I wrote it here. Was 10 centimeters smaller and shorter than the other one. All right. So now it's interesting. He says, I asked, what are these 2 measuring sticks? One is shorter than the other. He says, this measuring stick is for the time of Saddam, and this measuring stick is for after Saddam Hussein. Before, I would rip people off. But then, after Saddam Hussein went, I stopped ripping people off. So this scholar, he says, I told him, well, God is always there, though. He's watching. So, it's still problematic. He says, no. He says, during Saddam's time, we didn't know these things very well. We were not familiar with the greatness of the Imams. After he went is when we started understanding certain things more and more. And so now, because of this person that's buried here, and he points to the qabr and grave of Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, and he says, because of this individual, I'm never going to use this measuring stick anymore. And he puts it aside. This is how we can at least take some inspiration. That's an Imam that is there, of course, but is not physically alive amongst us, let alone an Imam that we know we might even bump to when we're walking in Hajj, for example, in Ziyarah. We just can't identify. To understand this is very, very inspiring. I gave a list of 5 or 6 things that our scholars have said and our hadiths have mentioned. As I said, these are not the exact reason for his occultation, but these are some of the things that make it easy on us and are positive takeaways from something bitter like ghaiba and inaccessibility of our Imam. Inshallah, you keep us in your du'as. After Salat, we're going to have, at around 9:30, we're going to start our A'mal tonight for the night of 15th of Shabaan. I thank all of you. Brother Baqir or Brother Wajahat, if there's anything I need to know, please, or if there's any question you want me to address, or else we will end now.
Assalamu alaikum. Just a couple of announcements. I received a few names for some of the brothers and sisters who were tested positive for COVID-19 recently. So there is a request for Dua Sehat. I will just quickly share the names. We have Furqan Heather Rizvi, Laila Rizvi, Rizwan Heather Rizvi, Naila Mirza, Wajad Mirza's sister in New York. And we have Dr. Simreen Rizvi's father, Dr. Sayyid Akhlaq Hussain Rizvi, who was hospitalized in London. So we pray to Allah, exalted, with His kindness and generosity, to heal those who are infected with this virus and bless them with good health. And may His mercy be bestowed upon the deceased, and patience and reward be bestowed on their families and loved ones. And may Allah protect all those healthcare workers, especially all those who are on the front line, serving humanity. With that, I will wrap this transmission with the Dua Imam Zamana. Agha, if you can recite Dua Imam Zamana.
Inshallah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Inshallah, we'll remember these brothers and sisters tonight in our amal as well. And inshallah, we'll do ayah karima tonight as well for their health and well-being, inshallah. I thank all of you once again, and inshallah, see you in a little bit for amal, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.